Hello, my name is Estella, and my group members are Sailor, Ian, Chris, and Carrie. And the topic that we chose was Washington's coastal water pollution. So, as a background, through the rise of urbanization and population increase in Washington state, pollutants have made their way into oceans and connecting inlets. So, studies have shown a significant amount of microplastics, acidity rise, and unwanted substances found within coastal regions and communities of Washington. So, throughout our research, we were able to find causes, impacts, and then some hopeful solutions. So, Carrie, take it away with those causes.
Great, thank you so much, Estella. So, firstly, let's break down some of the direct causes. We have litter and unwanted substances in stormwater drainage, i.e., this includes car leakage, garden residue, oil spillage, all things that are trickling into our water and causing a lot of problems, such as pollution. Next up, we have agricultural runoff, which is more on the farmland side. So, syntheticized fertilizers, as they like runoff, will gradually take into the ocean, and all of the pesticides and chemicals in that fertilizer is harming the water as well. And more on the indirect side, general sewage and spillage slash just improper disposal of sewage, not just in Washington, but worldwide. This is obviously causing a lot of problems in water, straight oil, etc. You can kind of see we have a little photo right there that we'll get to later, but these are all things that are causing Washington's coastal water pollution. So we have a little photo right down here that Ian's going to break down right below these causes. If you want to take it away, Ian.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Gary. This photo shows marine life swims amidst a tangled web of plastic debris, highlighting the devastating impact of water pollution on ocean ecosystems. The presence of discarded plastic bags, ropes, and other waste threatens aquatic species and disrupts the delicate marine habitats. And this shows the urgency of policymaking regarding ocean pollution in Washington state. And I'm going to pass it to Sutter.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to start with environmental impacts as mentioned by Ian in the photo. So there's a lot of pollution that enters here that affects marine life directly. We can see correlations between pollution and high rates of marine disease, specifically in the Puget Sound in Washington. There's been a test of, I believe, 46 or 48 sites, and we found a high correlation between liver disease and the pollution we're seeing. As long as that pollution is directly affecting the food webs and resulting in a loss of biodiversity and maintains a high loss of habitat as well. Chris is going to expand a little bit more on environmental impacts.
Yeah, along with marine disease, ocean acidification is also heavily exacerbated by water pollution. And eutrophication, which is the process shown to the right, nutrient runoff from agricultural sources cause excess algae blooms. And when these algae blooms decompose, they consume oxygen, and CO2 is released, which locally increases acidity in these areas. This acidification is a rampant issue in the Northwest. Shellfish are unable to form calcium carbonate shells due to the acidity, and pollutants, things like heavy metals, oils, and plastics only worsen this issue since these shellfish populations are filter feeders, which makes it even more likely for them to intake these pollutants. This can interfere with anything from like organism metabolism, shell growth, and general reproductive rates. And back to Carrie for the economic impacts.
Nice, thanks, Chris. So, firstly, for these economic impacts, the greatest one due to Washington, due to the local environment, is the diminishing of the commercial shellfish industry. So around $270 million are lost per year due to water pollution and affecting all of the shellfish. Means that shellfish cannot be sold by manufacturers. And as Washington is the leading producer of shellfish in the United States, this poses a great threat to our country's ability to have access to healthy and safe shellfish, especially Washington too. This leads to a decline in the economy and job market as well. If companies are losing millions and millions of dollars, then it's going to be more difficult to keep employees hired and paying them as well. So, side note, there's a general loss of tourism too as water gets polluted. The beautiful Washington coast becomes less and less appealing for people around the world to come visit and travel to. And due to a lack of resources because of water pollution, the Washington coast is having to use other resources as a lack due to a lack of water. Healthy water, I should say, of course. So I'm going to pass it back to Sailor for some social impacts on the Washington coastal pollution.
Okay, so the combined impacts of both the economy and environmental has really affected the Native American community around Washington. Currently, there are 29 federally recognized tribes and 21 have treaty reserve rights. Treaty reserve rights are classified as the state's protection of Native American tribes' resources and culture. Currently, because of the mass pollution that we're seeing on the coast, where a lot of the tribes are focused and have those rights, their rights are being violated by the state and the current urbanization. We have a quote by Fawn Sharp, who's a tribal elder, and she says, "When we start to see our landscape through the eyes of our elders, we really start to understand how relatively rapidly these changes are happening to our community. A lot of tribes are having to relocate and move away from current urban areas, which is again impacting the environment and economy negatively." I'm going to pass it to Ian to better go into another environmental demonstration.
Yeah, thank you, Sailor. And this image shows that too many nutrients, mainly nitrogen, will result in excessive algae growth because nutrients act like fertilizers for algae and aquatic plants. When these algae and plants die, their decomposition uses up oxygen that marine animals need to survive. This can especially be a problem in shallow inlets or bays and throws a health of Puget Sound off balance. Um, and this will be caused by an agricultural and industrial runoff. And Estella's going to tell you the solution.
Yeah, so as my group members have previously talked about, agricultural runoff is one of the greatest contributors to water pollution, not just in Washington, but globally. And so helping decrease agricultural runoff will really help decrease the pollution in our water. So switching to non-synthesized fertilizers and feeding the soil rather than just the plant will really help decrease that synthesized fertilizer and therefore decrease that runoff of that dangerous and unnatural fertilizers. So a really good example of a farm doing this is the UW farm. So they're an organization that their goal promotes sustainable and accessible agriculture, specifically in urban areas such as Seattle, and just making sure it's accessible to students and just people all around to have healthy, safe crops and farm products. So their methods include crop covering, composting, and non-tillage agriculture, which all helps feed the soil without using synthesized fertilizers. And they specifically have student volunteers who get to be involved in these processes. I myself was a volunteer, and I got to firsthand witness crop covering, harvesting crops without tilling, and planting crops without tilling. So all of these are really good examples of solutions on an agricultural level to decrease pollution in Washington's coastal regions. And then to end it, Chris will give you some solutions in personal or with personal changes.
Thank you very much. So a lot of these kind of more lifestyle choices just kind of revolve about being like conscious about the decisions you're making. So that could look like mindful waste disposal, using fewer disposable items, making sure you're recycling, composting, since a lot of trash and material ends up in oceans and waterways. It could look like taking vehicles in, routine checks to ensure that leakage isn't occurring to prevent stormwater drainage contaminants. And a lot of these times, these contaminants are super toxic and kill marine life. You can also reduce carbon emissions, doing things like public transportation and reducing your own personal carbon footprint. And lastly, volunteering to clean stormwater drainage pipes, things like boat patrol, trash cleanups, just individual efforts to help your community. So even though there's a lot to be done, with a bunch of our individual efforts, we can help save Washington's coasts. Thank you for watching.